I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to conduct a one-on-one interview with Mr. Ali Kaunda Vuni, the former retired United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, Field Associate Officer. Please note that this interview is personal in nature. Mr. Ali Kaunda will be speaking on his own behalf and not as a representative of the UNHCR, his former employer. Mr. Ali, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you.
Well, I first met you about 25 years ago in 1998. And it's great to see that you haven't changed much and still look great. So can you tell us about yourself? Who is Ali Kaunda? Where were you born? And what is your education background?
You're right. My name's Ali Kaunda Vuni. I come from Yumbe. And my parents, my father was called Abdullahi Vuni. My mother was called Kemisa Chakai. We were 10, and most of them have died. We are remaining 3. I studied primary 1 in Yumbe, Eleke Primary School. Primary 2, primary 3, up to primary 7, I studied in Gulu, Lalia Primary School. And then I went to Gulu High School. After Gulu High School, because of football, I played for my school, I played for the district, I also played for the region. I was recruited to go and work in Kilembe just to play football. I played for Kilembe, at the same time representing Toro district in the regional football tournament comprising of Toro, Ankole, Kigezi, and Bunyoro. Before I went to Kilembe, I played for Bunyoro. And before Bunyoro, I played for Acholi district, comprising of West Nile, Lango, Karamoja, and my position was number 9. I actually left football because I got injured in a paratrooper training. I was trained as a paratrooper in the army. So when I jumped on an anthill, and then I got a dislocation, which put me off for 2 years, and doctors advised me not to continue. And I served in the army, specifically football, playing for Simba, and for the national, regional, and national youth tournament. I was taken to Pakistan for military training, and I retired from the army. Then went to Sudan, South Sudan, as a refugee. I was in Sudan for 8 years. My purpose was actually to go to Middle East and seeking for international football. But while I was in Kaya, there was a Dutch UNHCR field officer who was recruiting educated refugees. I happened to be one. He recruited me into UNHCR. Because the Ugandans were very many, they were not assisted, and he wanted the people, capable people, to look after their people. That's why I started this work with UNHCR in 1982.
And
my first title was a registration clerk at Kaya. transit. Then I was transferred to Bumbari to open a settlement called Bumbari Refugee Settlement EA and the Mopoko Refugee Settlement. After Mopoko, there was a deal. Then I became Deputy Refugee Settlement Officer. I served for 1 year. Was transferred to go and open settlements in Imariti. I opened 7 refugee settlements. One was called Dorolini, Mambe, Zesi, Afa, Angutwa, Meke, and Andebi. Those settlements were well organized, motivated refugees, and refugees became self-sufficient with food production. They were supplying the Juba. And when the time came...
Sorry to interrupt you. What year was that?
I went to Maridi in 1984.
1984, okay.
So 84 up to 87, I was in Maridi.
Okay.
Appointed the General Settlement Officer by UNHCR. Then I became Community Development Officer and promoted to Senior Community Development Officer, looking after, supervising all the seven settlements in terms of refugee operations. So I repatriated to Uganda in 1987, soon after NRM government took control of the state. When I left, I came back to Uganda. My family also, my parents followed, and other Ugandans, so people came back. I was lucky that I was reinstated in the UNHCR through interviews, appointed a field assistant. In 1988, field sub-officer Rua. Now this time, we were repatriating Ugandans from South Sudan and Congo.
Okay.
A number of refugees who were in South Sudan and Congo managed to be repatriated all. And then the office closed in end of 1989.
Okay.
1993, there was influx of South Sudan. There was a problem in South Sudan. SPLA was fighting, and the war was intensified across the borders. Sudanese influx began. I was appointed a field assistant based in Arua, Ombachi Reception Center. My role was to go and look after the influx, bring the refugees to the settlement, to transit, register them, give them the food. And 1994, I was transferred to a Cafe refugee settlement, which was new because the border was closer to Koboko, and the UNHCR decided, the government decided the refugees shouldn't be taken far from the border, and the cafe was established. I became field assistant. I served very well. The most interesting thing was people I met, and we had a good relationship with Sudan, who received me as a refugee, now have come as a refugee. So the relationship continued.
Wow.
It was very interesting. I was popular. Everybody would understand me. So I was supervising on behalf of UNHCR, the settlements, the transit in Koboko, the settlements in the camps in the Yumbe district, the cafe. Then Mvepi was established under my supervision up to 97. The Congolese war, which outset Mobutu Sese Seko, created influx. Congolese started crossing to Uganda. I was transferred to Changwali to go and reopen Changwali refugee settlement, which had been there since 1960. And the Congo Sudanese, the Rwandese who were there, when they got there, when they established government, they decided to go back and abandon the settlement. So it was opened for Congolese. Congolese were being brought from Matanda, that is Kisoro, up to Changwali. A settlement, Rwanyiwawa was created. Chebitaka was created. Then we had one challenge. There were Sudanese refugees who were getting problems along the border in Germany. Some would be kidnapped by unknown people. Then UNHCR and the government of Uganda decided they should be relocated very far from the border. Changwali was identified. At first, the district authorities and the kingdom were not happy, they didn't accept, but with the time, they were explained and then things became okay. We began with the 200 refugees. Those who had serious security problems in Germany, they came and opened the Kasonga village. And then about 200 again from Kampala, urban refugees who were a little bit stubborn. They were also transferred. Now the whole village of Kasonga became Sudanese village. Congolese and Congolese and Sudanese, they became friends. And that was the attitude that whether you are from where, you should be as one family. And to unite them, we began with the sports, football.
Okay, thank you. Well, that's a lot of information, and I learned a lot from you today. There are things I didn't even know. Thank you. Now, given your experience and background, if the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees were to call you today and say, Ali, we want you back to work, would you consider returning to work?
No. Why? Because it's a policy issue. Once you serve in the UN and you clock age of 62, whether you are the champions, it is a time for you to rest. And that is the balance of where you can at least try to check on your gardens, and because the time is for the young one. 62, for those who joined before, now if you join today, you will serve at the age of 65, allowance of 3 years. So it is a matter of policy.
Okay.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have been here. I would still be there.
Okay.
But it is a policy. I've done my part, and everybody has appreciated.
Okay.
With the, we call it what? With the clean record.
Yes.
I'm very happy.
That's very good. Well, that's a valuable information. Even myself, I did not even know that there's a age limit there. Thank you for that information. Now, what have you learned from working with refugees from South Sudan and other nationalities? In other words, what was the most difficult or challenging experience you had as an associate officer?
Mandate given to UNHCR, UN High Commissioner for Refugees, is to provide international protection for any person who has run out, who has run away from his country of origin because of race, religion, social affiliation, and color, religion. Actually is a traumatized person.
Yes.
Somebody has left his people, maybe he ran away and his children are not with him. They scattered, with you. You cannot plan.
Yes.
So he's a traumatized. The way you should handle him is one thing. Otherwise, they are always, remembering what happened
to them.
The killings, the suffering of people.
Of course.
So it's not easy. This is a very big challenge.
Yes.
Anybody who would like to serve this kind of people must be having a humane heart. I participated in the Ugandan refugee influx into South Sudan. At the same time, I was also involved in repatriating them back. Somebody who left his country went to another country for 10 years, is returning back. The houses were not there. Some even forgot their trees, which used to be there. They are all bad. So that is an achievement. Yes. Influx, registering them at the border, taking them to refugee camp. In the camp, you assist them, guided them, look after them, and you return them back to where they were born. Wow. That's an achievement. The second achievement was I was involved in the Sudanese influx. Bring them from the border to Uganda, look after them, organize them in the settlements, also repatriate them back to their country. 2 refugee operations I succeeded, I went through, very successful. I'm very proud.
Thank you.
The third one is, there is a scenario where a refugee cannot go back to his country. He cannot stay in this country for asylum. You have to look for another country, third country, for his safety, because he has a specific security risk. And we did that one. I was taken to Addis Ababa for training. So after succeeding with the training, we came and established a resettlement program called Resettlement Program. Resettlement comes for specific refugees with the serious cases, not every refugee. How to identify them, where identify them. We register them. We submitted them to the headquarters. And now it is the headquarters to look for these countries. There are about 12 countries in the world who have signed agreement with the UNHCR. And I think at the Geneva level, that once they cannot go back to their country, they cannot stay in the country for asylum, you have to get those countries to help them. One of them is America, USA, Canada, Australia, Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, New Zealand. UK came once.
I remember, yes.
They had interest, and they came once and also accommodated some Congolese and Sudanese refugees into London. So that program was very successful. If you go to those countries, you will find refugees from Changwali. Changwali was we call it a heaven. When you have problem in another camp, we bring you to Changwali, organize to look for those countries and they settle. And very successful, some have succeeded. Although some found challenges,
yes,
have returned, some died.
Yes.
So I'm very happy to mention it that I've been monitoring their welfare. I knew what happened, where, and they have been having contact with me whenever they come here. They look for me.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm now very happy.
Thank you.
For those who are still there, what I want to advise them is to be as one family. Anybody who came from Uganda and you are outside there, you must form a unity. Somebody see, somebody has a problem, you can always contribute and make sure that you assisted. Congolese, Sudanese, I think some Rwandese few, there are very few, and also Ethiopians and all this is.
Yes.
And I'm very happy. I've been monitoring and they are doing very well.
Thank you. We'll come back to that, Mr. Ali. That was very valuable information. Now, you gave us some good information about your experience and work with the UNHCR and how you managed to resettle South Sudanese refugees to countries like US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Can you give us an example of a situation whereby someone who ran away from Sudan and came to Uganda or could not stay here for some serious security concern, and then you had to resettle them? Can you give us an example? Would you remember?
Very well.
Okay.
I begin with USA. We have many of them in US.
I just need you to give me one example of maybe one individual who had a serious security concern and could not stay, and then was made to travel to US, Canada, or UK.
One example, we have Orlando, we have Ligo,
Okay.
one called Ramadan.
Okay.
There were 7.
Can you tell us what happened?
While they were in the settlement in VP,
Okay.
rebels came there, attacked the settlement, pick those guys, line them up, and chop off their ears. So each person remained with one ear. And that was a very serious issue. We had to relocate them from Mvepi to Changwali and work out day and night to make sure they are safe. So they went to Canada. And I'm told one of them died, but the rest are still there.
Yes. Thank you. I remember that incident very well. The person you mentioned is Orlando. May he rest in peace. He died in Canada, in Vancouver.
There.
And I know him very well. And I witnessed what happened to him. It was very traumatizing. Very traumatized to see someone with one ear. And they went to Canada and they still carry the trauma. And a lot of things happened. It's not an easy experience. We don't blame them. And we also want to thank you for everything you have done to help them. Now, my next question to you is, why do most South Sudanese refugees continue to connect, to call you and visit you, even after being abroad for years or decades, when they return or visit Uganda? Why is that?
It's a relationship issue. And also my style of leadership. I'm a social worker. I actually have a graduated in socio-economic development. I have a diploma and a many certificate. I did a lot of training, especially counseling and all these things. I have that one in there.
Sure.
So my style of approach attracts many of them.
Many. No wonder.
And the messages I gave them here, you're going to a foreign country, you must have a vision, you must have a reason why you are there.
Yes, we are coming to that. Well, thank you. I was just wondering, why? Because I've seen so many South Sudanese. They always talk about you. They talk nice about you. They want, whenever they come to Uganda, they must call you, they visit you, they want to sit with you, have tea, or maybe just talk and check on you. So I wanted to find out what is the secret behind it. So thank you. Now my next question is, how were you able to predict and advise refugees about life in the West without having traveled there yourself? For example, you used to tell refugees that life in the West is not easy and that some will fail, some will succeed, some will be caught up in the system, and others will return to contribute to the rebuilding of South Sudan and Africa. I've seen these things. So you were a strong advocate of education, and I recall how you frequently encourage refugees to get educated, even if it meant staying in Africa and only pursuing further studies abroad if the opportunity arose. However, many refugees, myself included, disregarded your advice at the time. So what can you tell us? How were you able to know about those things ahead of time?
When we went to Addis Ababa for the resettlement training.
Okay. When was that?
There was 1999.
Okay, 1999.
There were two things mentioned: success and failure. Once you fail here, you may fail there. And those countries have had their challenges a long time. And they have their problems. So you are going to join in the problems. And if you have been hardworking, you will be hardworking. And somehow you will be successful. If you have been a dependent, there definitely you will not depend on anybody. Because in Africa, you can go to somebody's garden and get some leaves free of that. You can harvest anything without it. Mangoes without question.
Yes.
But outside there, things are. We read a lot of books and the notes about outside regarding refugees. Those are the prospects. So you must tell refugees before you make up a decision to go there. You must think it fast. Don't expect things to be lying. Things will be. You will find a lot of challenges there. That's why we were alerting them, so that when they go there, they are prepared. So they are. Those are the challenges.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So now talking of education, I'll give you a prime example. Okay. There's a South Sudanese by the name of John Anyuat. Despite initial setbacks in the form of interviews for migration to several countries, he persevered and completed his high school education in the refugee camp. Through scholarships and hard work, he went to earn a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering from Bositema College and University right here in Kampala, a Master of Science in Electrical Power Engineering from Newcastle University in the UK, and received additional scholarships to study in the United Kingdom and Japan. He is now the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer of the Renewable Energy Council of South Sudan, a non-profit organization dedicated to promoting sustainable energy practices. John is currently in the United States of America, where he is completing a year of research in electrical engineering, power, and machines at the University of California, Berkeley, as a Fulbright foreign student under the auspices of the US government. To put it simply, his education has served him better than those who sought refuge in the West. What can you tell us? Do you remember John?
Very well. Johnny is one of the students we guided. I want to begin with like that. When we established the Changwali Refugee Settlement, scholarship for refugee was very little under the Ministry of Local Government, then the Office of the Prime Minister. I represent UNHCR. The funding comes from donors through UNHCR. I took initiative to visit those schools in Masindi, Hoima, Fort Potro, around the schools like Kabalega, like Dohaga, schools like Isatito, schools like St. Louis, Chegombe Secondary School, and St. Teresa in Masindi. We negotiated on how some of them who are very bright, brilliant to go to those schools. And that's why this gentleman got with a scholarship from UNHCR. This gentleman is now the Deputy Speaker of Parliament in Juba for the South Sudan government. I met him in Kabalega, Senior 2. We guided him, supported him, and up to Senior 6. We also helped him through UNHCR sponsorship. He went to Nkumba, and then he went for masters also in Nkumba. He's a highly educated person. Being a leader, he was a refugee leader in Kirandongo. He demonstrated it very, very wonderful. For us to succeed and mobilize the community to go back to Sudan after being a refugee in Uganda for a long time, he helped a lot. And one challenge of refugees I met in schools, we assisted. We have David Farijala Kazimiro, was the youngest refugee I met in Changwali. And one thing which made me closer to him, because He was the only one from his tribe. Imagine from Wau up to Changwali Hoima, without uncles and all this thing, but was a very, very, very focused young, and I did not cause any problem. That's why my relationship with him, I admire him. There are also others. There was another Congolese called Providensi Moseka. He's in Canada. I don't know which state. He was also very young, especially the youth. Encourage them to be good citizens, not to indulge in drinking, smoking, and all these things. But we put them under they call it what? They call under this program of adolescents, young ones. The chances to take them outside was very high. Women at risk. Widows were very many. They lost their husbands, and we had to help them so that they go and build a new life. Many of them are doing well. And there are this group of torture, like the one whose ears were chopped. Those people qualified, elderly. We had a people like Bararuhaya, a Congolese, very funny Charles Bararuhaya, and I'm told in Australia, he's now having a lot of diseases because of age. And when he was in Changwali, he was very active, riding motorcycle like he was doing a rally. We have people like Edward
Zinga, yes, I remember him.
Yeah, he went to Australia, and I think he disagreed with the life there. He came back to Uganda, and he lost his life.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, and thanks for also bringing up my name. Actually, as I was a minor back then with those of John and what, but although I got house relatives or uncles, I felt at home. People from Equatoria, from other tribes, were good to me, and I still maintain the contact with him. I did not feel as someone who did not have a family. We want people back then, so thank you for bringing that. You want to add something?
Yeah, I actually want to take this opportunity to thank you, UNHCR.
Okay.
UN High Commissioner for Refugees has done a lot trying. UN has no bank, UNHCR has no land, but depend on donors' money. This money was channeled through up to the beneficiary.
Okay.
Our refugees benefited out of it. And you find in some countries, you hear there is a fraud and all this because of people who are not prepared. And once you are serving needy people, you must not be greedy. You must make sure donors' money, donors' item must reach the beneficiary. So I thank UNHCR for that. Uganda government actually donate all the land for the citizens and share it with the refugees. And Uganda has the best refugee policy in the world, for your information. Nobody, even these haven countries like the resettlement countries, they will not behave like Uganda. And it is under the leadership of this current government, supported in Geneva. The Uganda is respected, and the Uganda continue to accommodate refugees anytime, which some countries were saying, oh, you take away your... Kenya was saying you close one camp, Rwanda was saying something, but Uganda cannot mention that because it's a signatory to the Geneva Convention. And there are people who supported, not me alone. All the implementing partners.
Yes.
Those with very good intentions helped me. The work became easier. Mine was to monitor, to supervise. Office of the Prime Minister, person like Titus Jogo,
Yes.
was loved by refugees even more than me. One day I complained. I said, yeah, I'm also a good person. Why is that, and the people laughed. But Jogo was a very, very kind person. Solomon Osaka, who is a senior desk officer in Arua. Jogo is a senior desk officer in Jumani. Up to Moyo, we have somebody like Charles Bafaki. He's in charge of land. And up to now, he's still fighting for land with his own people in favor of refugees. We have Douglas Asimwe.
Yes.
And I'm happy. He's acting commissioner. It's a very big office. And I visited him. I was very happy. And those are actually because the refugees who met these people must appreciate how they approach people. They are easy to approach. They are supportive. And I think we need this type of people to continue.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing out those names. I haven't talked to Titus Jago since I left the refugee camp in 2001, but I think I will talk to him tonight. Patrick in the office of the Prime Minister, but also try to get in touch with him. So I'm going to ask you, how did the concept of sponsoring refugee athletes come about? There have been several South Sudanese refugees who have received educational sponsorship due to their athletic abilities, such as Mungo, Aringo, Minda, and the list continues. How did that program come about?
As we said, we use the sports as a tools to we call it brainwash the refugees so that they don't go astray.
Yes.
We established with the Titus Jogo a team in Changwali.
Yes.
At the level of blocks and the villages. Then it came to district level. Under Hoima and Masindi, the two teams, Changwali and Kiradongo, became the toughest team in the region. Then one day we sat down and put these two teams together and called a refugee. And in the district, Changwali became the champion. In the region, Barara, Fort Potro, Kibale, Hoima, Changwali became actually beating Kenyara, Giant. Kenya was representing that region in the league, the national league. Changwali beat them. Changwali took the cup. And we identified some of these youth. That's why Mungo went to Cuba, to Canada, and his brother Patrick Aringo. They were all footballers. We have Tabani in Australia. We had Minda, the goalkeeper, is in the USA.
Yes.
We have somebody like Chuma Chiza, that's in the USA. We had somebody like Mori.
Yes, Mori.
Mori is in Canada.
No, Mori is in Australia.
Australia.
Of course.
Then with the boxing, we had one boxer in the settlement.
Yes.
That with
David Lazarus.
Lazarus Escoro.
Plus.
Is in Australia. And the others.
Yeah.
So sports made them popular, and they have done well. Some have been enjoying the Texas, the football team. I saw the photographs. And the others like Santos, who played for Denmark in the World Cup, was born in Changwali. A Sudanese born in Changwali, went as a refugee.
Yes.
But I saw him playing football, number 11.
How did you feel?
Very well. Very proud.
That's good.
Recently in the World Cup, I saw those are very...
Yes.
They played for Australia. Yes.
Yes.
You see, and when they come back home, they come with the talent. That's why those are the what do you call the gifts?
The gifts, the talent.
Whatever you learn here, you learn there, you will take it back, because at the end of the journey, you will go back home. Because that country, South Sudan, needs these people.
Yes.
These problems will end.
Yes.
The world will be okay, they will come and support.
Sure.
And I thank those ones who studied, who have done well, they will come back and develop our Africa. For those that we are sorry, for those who have faith, let them not give up. Let them try, at least to learn something, they come back with something. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that information. I did not know the history of the soccer.
Yeah.
But I learned today. Now I'm going to ask you, you talked about resettlement program to US, Australia, Canada, and those countries. Do you know a nickname that the South Sudanese gave to the program? Have you heard of any?
I forgot.
You forgot?
Yeah, I forgot.
Okay. They had a name. It's called Nicolo Malembe. So Nicolo Malembe is a Congolese word.
Yeah.
So in Changwani, it was very, very popular. I did not even know the meaning behind it. So after I went to Canada, I asked a Congolese friend, and he told me it means wake up. So back then, refugees would gather at night and sit behind fire and talk about their struggles and life. And when they saw a plane up in the sky, they would say Nicolo Malembe, meaning that one day they will also go up there. So that's the nickname for the word resettlement.
Yeah, so resettlement was was something very delicious in the settlement. And people did not know the prospect and challenges of. That's why we have to cancel them before they made up their mind. I was in South Sudan 8 years. That program was not introduced, but it was there because since it is a limited resource for some specific kind of refugees, I did not pick interest. My friend, when I was in Sudan, Nuru Kamis, we used that chance, went to Edmonton in Canada. Up to now, he's still there.
Wow.
Junior Bugra, I think, went to Toronto through Khartoum.
Okay.
But I did not pick interest. And also through them, we learned a lot. That's why that experience I got from them is the one I help over you. Before you start a journey, these are the challenges you should do.
Sure.
You should understand it before you go there.
Sure.
And it was a very, very interesting. I remember somebody called a lady. I went to USA.
Okay.
One of the first. I will remember the name. She went, and within a short time, she was very intelligent, articulative. She bought a car.
Okay.
And I saw the photograph when from Changwani, the forest there. Now you're driving in the street.
Yeah.
That light actually attracted many people.
Many people, yes.
I think she was a sister to Lobore.
Okay.
Lobore Joseph.
Yes, Lobore is and on the Joseph Lobore. Yeah, thank you. Now, refugees used to come to you and express their anger and frustration. But upon meeting, you were able to calm them down with your polite demeanor. Was this a result of your character, manners, upbringing, or the training you received from the UNHCR?
It's information. They get angry because they lack information. When they come, you give them the information, they will have no quarrel. So we prepare that information to be given to them.
Thank you.
And that is the meetings we organize so that they are informed.
Okay.
And whenever somebody, they come there, like 100 names are submitted to Kampala. Unfortunately, 20 names appear for interview. And then they say, we have been forgotten. But you have to explain to them.
Yes.
When explained, after some weeks, we find their list, also their names appear. Then they realize this is the good information.
Okay.
So it was the information gap.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I'm going to ask you an interesting question. Why do displaced persons and refugees in different parts of the world receive different types of food aid, such as chicken and soft drinks in the Middle East, whereas refugees in Africa receive clothes like beans and maize? Who makes that decision?
No, not a decision. Donation is donation.
Okay.
A beggar has no choice.
Okay.
The advanced people, the whites, are always aware because they experienced this refugee life a long time during First and Second World War. That is the result of creating UNHCR. People of those days suffered. And now, Africans, say for instance, Africans cannot donate. Any donation, they have a system either through churches, through local people, their government sent this money. And they also follow the money to see that money is a contribution from their citizens and to support the refugees. The money must be used properly. African cannot donate. That's why we end up eating what we are eating yesterday. And Africa should not complain. And again, the food we see locally is actually the best.
Now I'm going to ask you this question. Do you know of any nickname that was given to you while you were working in Changwane?
I did not come across. I think Kaunda was the name which was common.
Okay.
Ali, they didn't use Vuni.
Okay.
They use Ali or Kaunda. I know that name was
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's a name. Unfortunately, there's a name that was given to you, and I'm going to reveal it to you today. Refugees used to call you, and South Sudanese in particular, they used to call you Mr. Policy.
Policy.
Mr. Policy. And if my memory serves me well, the way it happened is refugees would go to you and vent out their frustration and complain. And they would say, I want to go back to my country. Take me back to Sudan. I'm suffering. The rebels are coming and abducting us and killing us and so forth. And you would talk to them and you would advise them that according to the United Nations Geneva Convention, the refugee cannot be repatriated back to their country of origin while the country is still at war.
Correct.
And it's the policy of the United Nations. So every time you bring up this word policy, policy, so they started calling you Mr. Policy.
That's true. I didn't come across, but
yes.
You know, the demand of refugees, it does not mean he wants to go to his country. He's just giving you a message that he better, especially the resettlement, he wants to at least go to third country.
Yes.
And we also knew, although we don't encourage them, those one who qualify will try our best. All the files we open for them, thank God, almost most of them went.
Yes.
And some did not go because of credibility,
Yes.
and maybe because of also bad luck. Like Amos Wani, the children went to Vancouver.
Yes.
He tried his best, he didn't go. Instead, he went back, understand he's a big man in the army. The work also is a big man in the army. Kunchen went to USA, and I'm understanding, I'm told he came back. So, what God has given to these people, to you people, you have got it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. May I ask you a humble question that has been on my mind for decades? It's not about me, but rather people like Lam. I'm sure you remember now.
Very well.
A South Sudanese who lost a leg
Yeah.
during the war in South Sudan.
Yeah.
How can a person like Lam survive on 28 cup of maize? This is the cup that they used in the refugee camp. 28 cup of maize for the whole month. And then you have this jerrycan lid for salt. If my memory serves me well, it used to be 4 or 6 for the whole month. So there's someone who's disabled, someone who's a single mother. How can they survive for the whole month? I'm not saying it's your policy, but I'm just wondering.
I actually am talking now on behalf of World Food Program.
Okay.
The UN High Commissioner for Refugees is responsible for international protection of refugees. Giving food is the responsibility of World Food Program.
Okay.
And what they are giving for a refugee to survive for one day is a 2,100 kilocalories.
Okay.
Where you get 12 kilograms of grain, 15 kilograms of portion, 60 kilograms, no, 60 kilograms of beans or pulses.
Okay.
So 10 grams for sugar, per day, per person for 1 day, 200 or 20 liters of water. Must make sure in a day he gets 20 liters. Salt is 5 grams per person per day. You multiply it, 30, that is the quantity you would take for you to survive. If you get that one for 1 day, then for 30 days, another food is prepared. Since this is a donation, from donors also have some rope attached, you survive. And the vulnerables, the LAM group, and others,
Yes.
we have a special need.
Okay.
Special need under the community development.
Okay.
They identify such people, they are special, they are treated as a person.
Separate.
And also others who have no special needs, we give land, we say the supplement. At least you put grease down, Even in Uganda here, when you put nail down, it will germinate. We have all types of local greens, like Ibo, like Barakwal, like Layo, like Babia, eggplant. Yes. And those ones can supplement what is given to you. So that is under some refugees also do other things outside to support their family.
Sure. No, thank you. That's a valuable information. Yes, Uganda is fertile. And he reminded me of what the late Dr. John Garang said. He said that since the creation of the earth, or even the time of Adam and Eve, there are places in South Sudan that have not even been cultivated.
It's true.
So if you throw a net or anything,
it will germinate.
So you reminded me of that. Thank you for that. Now I'm going to mention some random names. Upon hearing these names, I want you to tell me what comes to your mind. The first one is going to be Don't Talk.
Don't Talk is a very popular man. I admired him because the community loved him.
Yes.
When I investigated it, how did that name come?
Yes.
That, when they are doing their private thing, they say this must remain here.
Yes.
He's a very, very intelligent guy, social. He's in Australia, and it's called Kasim Habib Lemi. He's very, very, Don't Talk.
Thank you. This is the first time for me to know his real name. In the camp, we knew him as Don't Talk.
Don't Talk.
Yeah, thank you. What about the second one is going to be Armageddon. Do you remember this name? Armageddon. Okay, you may not remember. Armageddon is a nickname given to Kunchena Cage.
Oh.
So the story is he was a Jehovah Witness. He's still Jehovah Witness. So he would come and tell people, you must repent, you must stop doing this, go and cultivate. The end of the world is coming. Armageddon is coming. So people started calling him Armageddon.
Yeah. Akich
Kunchena Cage, yes.
Was hard working.
Yes. He's a social
worker. So close to me.
Yes.
We counseled many refugees.
Yes.
We solved many problems on our behalf.
Yes.
And we would translate, Arabic and all this, those who don't understand English. So he is the one who went to USA. And
Yeah.
Yes.
He's a great gentleman.
Educated.
Very educated, very intelligent. He's a social worker.
Yeah.
Helped a lot of years in the camp. He went to the US.
Exactly.
He studied social work there.
Yeah.
Came back. He's now in Juba.
That is a very useful person.
Yeah. The third name I'm going to drop is called Very Bad. Do you remember this name?
Yeah.
Very Bad.
The word.
Okay. His actual name is called Garanakol. Yeah. There was a meeting in the community, and then he knows a little bit of English. So he was communicating to the staff and the visitors. He used English, Dinka language, Arabic, Kiswahili, and everything. And every few seconds he would say, very bad, very bad, very bad, very bad. And then after the meeting, he went to his hut, he smeared the outside and wrote, very bad. So people started calling him Very Bad.
And it was
that's how the name came.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yes, he's now in South Sudan also.
I remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about Sister Leo?
Leo was called Charles Penner.
No, Sister Leo, not Brother Leo. Sister Leo, the wife of Brother Leo.
That is a Joanne.
Yes.
It's called Enike Joanne.
Yes.
Joanne, actually, the story I know was she came, she had a problem as a single woman, and then Charles Penner followed him, and they became together. I counseled them very, many times, and I think the only problem with the John was alcohol. We advised her not to drink too much, and I think she went to Canada, and I'm told they also had misunderstandings there. And this guy either deliberately took his life.
No, he passed away actually. Yeah, he passed
It
away.
was not frustration.
No, he just passed away.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that one was closer to me. I was the only one counseling her.
Council.
And I told her, I don't want to change Changwani into, they call it what? Sharia law.
Sharia.
But for your own future, as a lady, reduce. And I took his son, called Nyai, to Satito. And I don't know how he must have grown out.
Sure.
Yeah, he was a very good boy, very intelligent. So I think he must be helping the mother now.
Thank you. Yeah, she's in Canada now, and unfortunately the husband died.
Yeah.
Another name I'm going to mention is Wani brother. You remember Wani brother?
Yes. One is called
It's called Moses
One. One is the one who stopped ambulance from. I know Wani.
Yes.
Very intelligent.
Yes, he's now.
Was a leader. And Wani also is the one who was one of the causes of transferring urban refugees to Changwani. They had a problem with the UNHCR and the OPM in Kampala. Then they were handed over to me.
Okay.
We parted well.
Yeah.
His target was at least to get out of Africa and all these things, but he succeeded. Wani.
Okay.
Yeah, Wani Moses.
Yeah, Wani Moses is his actual name.
Unfortunately, I have not heard from him. Someone like the Obama
Bosco?
Bosco.
Bosco is in US.
And Wani I have not heard, but the others, they have been calling me.
Okay. I'll connect you. Moses Wani is also in US.
Yes.
The way the name came about is whenever he meets you, he would say, my brother.
Yeah.
My brother.
But he was intelligent.
So people nicknamed him Wani brother. So the last name I'm going to mention is Fanya Araka. You remember this name?
Fanya Araka was our doctor. He was a Changwani Football Club doctor.
Okay.
I remember we played a game where Changwani got a penalty. Tony kicked it out and immediately fell down, pretending to be having a problem with it. And he had a kit. Say, I will not treat you because you missed a penalty. I know you're pretending. And it made me happy. Secondly, it was in P7, Kituti Primary School. Is it Kituti Primary School?
No, Kasonga Primary.
Kasonga Primary School.
Yes.
The headmaster was excited. Took him to Hoima to compete in athletics, knowing this guy would.
Yeah.
But he became the last one. And then he brought him back. He said, this one deceived him. Very interesting, but a very good person.
Very energetic individual.
I'm told he also lost his life.
That's what
I'm told he went back home and was a very friendly. He was a doctor moving with the kit when somebody falls and he's there.
Medical kit, yes.
Yeah, Fanya Araka.
That's true. Yeah, he's very tall, very energetic, very individual. Yeah, may he rest in peace.
Well.
Yeah. Okay, this time I'm going to mention the names of refugee camps.
Yeah.
I'll just drop some random names and tell me what comes to your head.
Okay.
Maleke,
Pakele. Pakele is a Jumani.
Pakele is a Jumani.
It was the biggest refugee settlement in Uganda at that time.
Okay. What about Kiriandongo or Nakivale?
Yeah, Kirandongo is Payadoli.
Okay.
Payadoli refugees are mostly from from Acholipi,
Okay.
from Kirigom.
Okay.
And it was open because Kirandomo was a ranch, government ranch.
Okay.
Amelia had established ranch schemes for Bunyoro.
Okay.
And when there was a problem at the border, the Bunyoro Masindi district local government decided some of these, they call them ranches. Ranch 1, 3 ranches were allocated to refugees.
Okay.
Ranch 1 and Ranch 37 and Ranch. So when refugees became many, the land was not enough, they annexed Ranch 18. Okay. So those are Ranch government, Ranch skills given for refugees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That is generation because government was looking for land and the Banyoro says, no, we have land. Animals were here, but they are no longer there. We can bring refugees, and the refugees have survived in that land.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about Rhino Camp?
Rhino Camp was a free land because I was also involved in establishment.
Okay.
And the refugees from Rhino Camp came from Ajumani.
Okay.
When Ajumani was overloaded and there was no space, most of the refugees were crossed through River Nile.
Okay.
By boats.
Okay.
We call it ferry boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are boats. So we established a rental camp through Ajumani because of Ajumani.
Okay. What about Changwali?
Changwali was a refugee established in 1960s. Okay. And it was the kingdom of Bunyoro who gave that land for the king of Rwanda, Kageri.
Okay.
Also, king of Toro also gave Ramanja and Kahungi.
Okay.
These two rights and Nakivane.
Okay.
For Rwandese refugees who left the country and all this.
Okay.
And then when the government of Paul Kagame was established,
yes,
people took interest and went away. And all the facilities were there.
Okay.
Schools were there, boreholes were built and other things, and health units were there.
Okay.
That's why UNHCR and the government decided Sudanese refugees and the Congolese refugees must be settled in that hole.
Okay.
And very, especially security-wise, it was very far from the Jumani, from the border with the Sudan, and that's why I was brought. That was the reason why they said, particularly I should come and look after this.
Okay.
And I was willing because of my experience with the refugees, my experience with the Sudanese. I was in South Sudan for 8 years.
Okay.
Even before, in the 60s, we started with the Sudanese.
Okay.
And
okay. Very interesting. So, Mr. Ali, I want to thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you and sharing those memories about Chawali, Rhino Camp, Ajumani, and all those places. And I really want to thank you for your time.
Davide, thank you very, very much for this initiative. And I think this one will help us open the link with other friends who don't have an idea about me, about ourselves. You have been coming to Uganda. You have seen how we are. Some of us are no longer, some have left us. So recently, the commander who was in the Chagwali, Bomera,
yes, I
was no more.
Okay.
A person like Esau also left us.
Okay.
And yeah, but at least those ones must see. We must have a link. We must have a call.
Sure.
We get ideas.
Sure.
Now the idea of me, they must think bringing children to Africa.
Okay.
Why they were in that time, things have changed. It's no longer there. What I know is something is still delaying people from going to develop, but still they can come to Uganda and make some development.
Okay.
Fortunately, South Sudan is now a member of the East African Community.
Yes.
It's one home.
Yes.
You go there without a passport, you come here without a passport, so you choose an area, develop it for your family to come to Africa, you have a home. You will have one home in Sudan, one home there.
Okay.
I would like to, according to the policy of UNHCR and the IOM, we who have struggled to facilitate or to help refugees go for resettlement, third country.
Yes.
We're supposed to have been given a chance to go and visit it.
Oh, okay.
By UNHCR and how we settled them, how we talked about it, without knowing how Canada, where they are settled. And that one I missed.
Okay.
We are supposed to go to South Sudan and also see the ones that we have repatriated, whether the program is successful.
I see.
The last refugee who were repatriated to South Sudan was escorted by the current Secretary General of the United Nations.
Okay.
He was High Commissioner for Refugees.
Okay.
He escorted them. Warm, he never slept. They put on fire up to morning. Then the porridge, he lined up for the porridge.
Okay.
He was on the lorry with the luggage and imagine High Commissioner. So he deserves to be Secretary General of the United Nations.
Okay.
Very wonderful person.
Very interesting.
Like Madame Sadako Ogata. Ogata was also a very good High Commissioner. So that is the spirit of looking after refugees.
Thank you.
Because a refugee can happen to anybody. All of us are potential refugees.
Yes.
So nobody should challenge a refugee because you don't know when you will become a refugee.
Yes.
All of us, our president, His Excellency Yori Kapuku himself was a refugee in Sweden and all this.
Yes.
But he's now a big man.
Yes.
Some of you there, tomorrow you will be somebody.
Yes.
Moses Ali, who is a prime minister, is now sick, was a refugee in Sudan. So with a refugee, anything to do with refugees, you must have that good heart.
Yes.
So thank you very much for those of you who are seeing very far. You pulled others. Lam, you mentioned here, is in USA.
Yes.
I understand he moved from Maine to Texas. I don't know Texas or. And I was telling Daniel, you need to put him down and help this guy. He's disabled, there he doesn't have anything. And he tried to marry, brought his wife here. I don't know what happened, he has not talked to me, and the wife, I think, went back to the village.
Okay.
So, Lam and the others who also need help.
Sure.
So, I think we need to do everything possible to come to Africa and see. Maybe they will remain here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. They are going to watch this interview, and I hope it will open a window of communication, and we look forward to a positive interaction. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much, David. While you are here, you have learned a lot. We have the experience. You have seen how Africa is, although you have not gone back to where you are born, but at least here shows that this is our Africa.
Thank you.
Our children must really be brought back to behave like Africans. And those who are there, some have not even brought their children. They must come back to Africa and see. Even if Congo is still having problem, Sudan, South Sudan is still having problem. Those are light problems.
Sure.
But in this program over there, let them come back to Uganda, which took them to those countries. Uganda is free.
Sure. Thank you.
We are here to guide them. And some have been cheated, actually. They use other people, give a lot of money, and this money is money. So they must be tactful. Don't throw money anyhow.
Okay.
You come and see what you want to do, you want to work. You don't just use anybody on. So this is my advice to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll leave it up to them. They can watch the video
Yeah.
and they'll decide by themselves.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.